Hey guys, welcome back to Hike Oregon. In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about the COROS Vertix sports watch. So this is the COROS Vertix watch that I'm going to be talking about today. I got this watch in May, so I've been trying it out for multiple months now. I've tried it in my everyday life, tried it on numerous day hikes, and I've also tried it on backpacking trips as well as a mountain summit climb, so that I could really see how the watch performed in all those different types of situations. So before I get started on actually showing you how the watch works and how I have been liking it, I'm just going to go over some of the specs for you. So the COROS brand makes multiple watches. The Vertix is their newest watch on the market. It got released to the public, I believe, in June, and it is definitely one of their higher end watches, and it does a lot more than some of their other sports watches. This watch is specifically designed with mountaineering and mountain climbing in mind. So that's kind of what sets it apart from just your average sports watch and some of the other watches that they have in their line. They have the Pace multi-sports watch, which is basically just meant for your daily runner or your marathon runner. Then they have the Apex Premium watch, which is for like your ultra distance runners, like your triathletes, that kind of thing. And then they have the Vertix watch, which is for everybody, as well as your mountaineer, mountain climber, avid hiker. So the watch itself is made out of titanium, and then it does have a scratch resistant front to it, which is really nice, especially when you are kind of rock climbing or mountaineering or even just hiking. You know, sometimes I like hold on to rocks and stuff. It's really nice to not scratch the face of your watch. And then the band is just your standard silicone band. I find it sometimes a little sweaty on my wrist in hot weather, but it's nice that it's not fabric, because then I would sweat anyway and the sweat would just soak into the fabric and make it all nasty. So this way, you know, this gets dirty, you just rinse it in the sink. So this is a GPS watch, so it does have GPS tracking, which is really awesome, and it is actually the only GPS watch on the market that has a 150-meter waterproof rating, which is so cool. So one thing I noticed that's also in the specs is its battery life. It has an insane battery life. I took it backpacking for 3 nights, 4 days, and I think I still had 75% battery, and I was using it all the time. So I was not only, you know, looking at it all the time, but I was running a track all day while I was hiking on the Rogue River trails. So every day it got used, and I was still at 75% battery, which is amazing. So if you don't track or don't use any of the features, you basically just have the watch face on and you're looking at the time, the watch can last for 45 days. And if you have a tracking feature on where you're hiking or backpacking, it will last for about 60 hours of that before it ever needs to be charged. So the watch weighs just 64 grams, which makes it about 16% lighter than its competitor, the Garmin Fenix 5 Plus. And then I did mention it was designed for mountaineering in mind. This watch can actually read your blood oxygen level. So when you are above 8,200 feet, a feature will kick in called, I think, Spot O2 or something like that, where it reads your blood oxygen level. That's what this little blinking thing is here in the back. It's what also reads your heart rate and stuff like that, but it can read your blood oxygen level. So if you are mountaineering or you easily get elevation sickness, this watch is amazing because it will tell you if it is safe for your body to continue climbing higher. That is a feature that is absolutely phenomenal for climbers. I know for me personally, I'm one of those people that just wants to go, 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 and I rarely just stop and listen to my body, when really that's very important in a situation like that, because it's not safe to keep going if you are having altitude sickness. I had altitude sickness a couple of years ago when I was summiting South Sister because I came from almost sea level, and then I summited to over 10,000 feet. And so I did get slightly nauseous. I had a headache. You can get dizzy. So that's not safe at all. It is not safe to continue climbing up when you're feeling like that. You can easily get disoriented, fall, that kind of thing. So this watch is amazing, especially if you are new to mountaineering, you're not very used to elevations, and again, if you're a person like me that says, I don't want to listen to my body, I just want to go and climb and whatever, it's really gonna remind you, you need to stop, you need to take a little rest, and then it'll reread your blood oxygen level and it'll tell you when it is safe to continue climbing. This watch has an amazing temperature rating, so it actually works down to temperatures of -4 degrees Fahrenheit and -20 degrees Celsius. That's insane. I never want to be in conditions that cold, and even in those conditions it has a less than 30% of battery life depreciation, which is just mind-blowing. They actually tested the watch in under -22 degrees Fahrenheit. The battery life still lasted 21 hours. So all the controls on here are pretty big and grippy, so that even when you're wearing gloves, if you're touring or you're, you know, downhill skiing, snowboarding, that kind of thing, you can easily manipulate the buttons and still have the watch do what you need it to do. The watch comes in 4 colors and the price on it is $599. Obviously that is pretty spendy for a sports watch. However, if you do compare it to the Phoenix, which is what this is comparable to, the Garmin Phoenix 5 Plus is $799, and then it just goes up from there into the thousands. So in that sense, it is on the lower end of the price spectrum. So now let's get into some of the awesome things that this watch does. Okay, so this is the watch face that I currently have on here. It just has some mountains, the date, the time, and it shows how many steps I've taken. Obviously, I did not wear it today. It says I've taken 0 steps. It does lock, so you have to unlock it, and then it shows you the amount of calories that you have burned today, and then your workout and your number of flights of stairs that you have gone up today, and it shows you how many hours and minutes you've worked out. Then your next screen shows you your heart rate over the last 6 hours. And then this is your elevation over the last 6 hours. And this is really interesting. This is actually the air pressure and altitude pressure over the last 6 hours, which is super interesting. If you press this button here, you can actually move the little cursor and see what the atmospheric, air pressure was during a certain time frame. And then to exit out, you just press the back. Then the next one is the temperature over the last 6 hours, and then that's just telling me I have a firmware update. So that's pretty much it as far as the watch interface goes. If you press this middle button, so there's only 3 buttons. There's the light, there's the middle button, and then there's the back, which is also a lap button. So as you can see, this is how you would set up a activity. So it has all these activities. You can go for a run, an indoor run, like on a treadmill, trail run, mountain climb. I would really only do this if I was summiting a mountain like South Sister, Diamond Peak, something like that here in Oregon. Usually I just use this hike feature, and then you also have bike, indoor bike, pool swim, and open water swim, and then of course triathlon. So let me start a hike and I'll show you what it does. So I want to do this while I'm walking so I can show you. The watch shows you miles per hour and how long you've been going, and of course your mileage. It also shows you the percentage of grade that you're on, as well as your total ascent and descent. It shows you your percentage of stamina, and then aerobic TE and anaerobic TE, and then it shows you your heart rate. So I just did a little bit of a climb. You can see the color. So blue is warm up, green is like moderate, yellow is fat burning, orange is, I forget, and then red is high. I have been in between orange and red, and it did beep at me. Sounded like a telephone.
a little bit. And I was like, what is that? And I looked down and the watch had warned me. It basically said, your heart rate is too high, slow down. Basically, I was climbing a really, really steep hill at a really fast pace, and so my heart rate was high. I mean, I could have gone a little longer, you know, at that heart rate. I was not dying. I was out of breath, but I wasn't dying. So it warned me basically that I needed to stop and take a break. And then it brings you back down to distance. As you can see now, I'm moving 0 miles per hour, so it shows 0. The only thing I would say that I do not like about this watch, and it's really one of the only things that I dislike, is that when you are in the hike mode or any sort of activity mode, you cannot go back and see what time it is. So you'd have to like stop your track completely and like exit out of everything to be able to see what time it is. Yes, I can see, you know, how long I've been traveling, but if I didn't look at the clock before I left, I don't know what time it is. So that is the only fault on this watch. And I did want to show you on the watch face down here where it has your number of steps that you took today. You can press the back button and it'll show you flights of stairs that you climbed. It will show you how many calories you've burned. It will show you how much you've worked out today. It'll show you when sunrise is, which is really handy to know. Also show you when sunset is. This is super, super handy to know when you are out hiking, and then it'll give you your current elevation and then how much battery you have left. You can toggle through this whole thing. If you push down on the lower button here and hold it, it'll bring up this secondary menu that has a heart rate measurement. So if you're not in workout mode, you can check your heart rate, ultra max, navigation settings. There's your map. This is the SpO2, which is the oxygen level reader that I was telling you about. You can select that if you're over 8,200 feet. We have a stopwatch, your timer, watch face, which is a feature you cannot use if you are in a activity mode, night mode, your system, do not disturb, alarm clock, and then we also have a compass, which is super cool. So it does look like you can see the time if you are in compass mode. So let's see if that works during a workout. Okay, I'm in a workout mode. I'm gonna start it. Now let's go back to that menu and see if we can't access the compass. Oh, look at that, we can. So this is a good way to get around not being able to see your clock face and not knowing what time it is. You just go to your compass and it'll show you the time, which is super awesome because I thought you couldn't see the time, and that was one thing that bothered me. It's not easy, it's not quick. You can't just press one button and there's the time. You kind of have to go through a menu, but if you really need to know the time during your hike, that is a way to get around that feature. So now I just really wanted to go over the COROS Vertix app that you download with the watch. It's really convenient, easy to use. I just want to go through it really quick. This is just kind of the home screen. You can choose your watch interface. There are a lot of interfaces. I had this one for the longest time, but I also really like this one down here. There's a lot of different watch faces that you can explore. Down here, this is basically just your stats and stuff. You can post a picture, you can see how many miles you have done with the watch, and then how much you've swam and biked and whatever. Then this is all of your tracks, which is really cool. So here are all the hikes that I've done over the past few months. You can see there's quite a few. Again, I don't wear the watch for every hike, but you can kind of see when you open it, it'll give you all of the stats, which is amazing. I absolutely love having this information. Your average speed, elevation chart, your heart rate throughout the hike. Again, what I showed you earlier on the watch is broken down here. So how much of your heart rate was in the warm-up zone, in the fat burning zone, in the aerobic zone, your threshold, and your anaerobic. This is not so much helpful for hikers, but it's very helpful if you are working out and you are really trying to work out efficiently and trying to burn fat, gain muscle. This is something that you will want to watch out for because it's super important. So again, it shows you your training. So your aerobic is kind of what you want to be in the majority of the time. Anaerobic is kind of inefficient, and it just breaks down your lap time there. So that is really neat information to have. And then if you go down here, that is just today. Again, I've burned 17 calories. I have not worked out. I had my heart rate here for the tiny portion that I had the watch on for a second. So yeah, that's just your daily breakdown. So yeah, that is pretty much the app. It is fairly easy to use. It's pretty simple. I don't go into the app a whole lot. I just sync my watch with the app occasionally so that I have all of my tracks in there and everything. Otherwise, they do get stored on the watch. I just like to sync over the information. The watch does come with a special charger. As you can see, that's the charge port, so it's very unique. So it does come with its own charger that plugs into a USB, and that's pretty much it. So in conclusion, I've really been enjoying the watch a lot. I have always wanted a sports watch. I really enjoy getting to know my body better when I'm in those hiking conditions. Obviously, I know I'm breathing heavy and all of that, but it's so cool to see your heart rate and your blood oxygen level and all of these things that really make a difference when you're hiking. And like I said earlier, the watch beeps at you if your heart rate goes too high for too long, and it's clearly not good for your body. It tells you to stop. I think that is so cool, and if you put in all your stats and all of that, it can actually be a lifesaver. If you've had a heart attack or if you have heart issues, knowing when your heart rate goes up too high can honestly save someone's life. I've really enjoyed having it. I highly recommend it as a sports watch, not only for, you know, your daily activities, but your hiking, your mountain climbing. Obviously, most of us aren't mountaineering on a weekend basis, but it is a cool feature to have, especially if you are climbing South Sister, North Sister, Middle Sister, Diamond Peak, anything that's over 8,200 feet, you can use that blood oxygen reader, so that's pretty cool. And like I said, the only thing I don't really like about the watch is that when you're in your activity mode, you cannot go back to the time, which I don't like, but that is literally the only thing that I don't like that the watch could change. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful in learning more about the COROS Vertix watch. If you're interested in purchasing this watch, I will have a link in the more info box below. And of course, if you have any questions about the watch, let me know and I will do my best to answer them for you. Make sure to follow me over on Instagram. That's where you'll see all of the pictures that I take on my hiking and backpacking adventures. And if you're interested in hiking and backpacking here in this lovely state of Oregon, make sure to check out my website, hikeoregon.net. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next adventure.